Good evening and welcome to the Just Danny Show. It's the first show of 2024. Happy New Year to you and yours. I wish I could say this first show in regard to the council meeting, the first council meeting of the year would be less angry than what it's going to be, but you know how these clowns are. So why don't we just go ahead and jump into it. As you may remember, Miss Charlene Forth left off the end of the year, the last council meeting of the year, confronting our city manager, Brian Boltice, in regard to verbally assaulting her. If you remember the context of the whole thing, great. If not, don't worry about it. I'm going to fill you in real super quick just to preface this. So the day before the Christmas parade, Charlene Forth called the city hall, Debbie, who is our city manager's secretary, and was questioning her about, hey, where are the barricades that go down on our streets down here? Because as you're aware, people do live in the downtown area, and then when they have these events, it gets crazy. They can't even back out of their driveways. And so over, I believe it was the last 4 years, Miss Charlene Forth devised a map and a plan with our previous city manager on how she wanted the barricade set up so the traffic flow at the end of the parade could just flow pretty good and not block these folks in their homes. So every year this happens. Well, she called up Debbie the day before, actually the afternoon before, and said, hey, where are the barricades? And then Debbie said, well, they're already out. And she says, no, I don't have any here. She says, well, I guess we don't have any left. And then further into the day, I guess maybe, I don't know how many minutes or hours after following that phone call, Miss Charlene Forth goes down to her neighbor's house to assure her that these barricades will be put into place. And when she showed up there, Boltice was already there, or had shown up there after. I can't remember how that worked. But anyway, Boltice had shown up either before or after Miss Charlene Forth had arrived at her neighbor's home in the driveway. Boltice showed up with his secretary, Debbie, and Kurt with the city as well. I guess as backup or witnesses. I don't know. Maybe it's his entourage, whatever. Remember, he verbally assaulted her. It was pretty awful, screaming at her because she was trying to get these barricades situated, and he yelled at her to go home. This was, go leave, go home. You're interrupting me. And it wasn't like that. He was screaming at her to where she was visibly shook. And there was nobody out there but Debbie, Kurt, remember this, just Debbie, Kurt, him, and Charlene, and of course this neighbor in the driveway. That is it. Everybody else was in their homes. They didn't see anything, didn't hear anything, because everybody else was in their homes. So fast forward to this past Tuesday. So she had confronted him, like I said, that last meeting, saying, you verbally assaulted me. And I know Murray, our mayor, went down there to talk to some neighbors about it. And he said, oh, nobody saw anything. Nothing happened. They were fine with everything. So he basically was going down there to try to discredit Miss Charlene, that she's lying, basically. So fast forward again till this past Tuesday night. Charlene goes back in there because, as you are aware, we only get 3 minutes up at public comment. So she wanted to finish up her comment from the last meeting. So what she did in this next clip I'm going to show you is actually first clip I'm going to show you is she puts the map up on the overhead and explains to everybody this is the map that has always been. She drew it up back when Darren Gray was the city manager. And then she goes into what happened and how, briefly how he yelled at her, basically barking at her like a dog. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and show you this clip. But that was to preface it. So go ahead and take a look.
This is my second part in finishing up about this deal that happened on 10th Street with our city manager down there. I ordered, after I was in here in the council, there is the thing that's been on file since Darren Gray has been here, and for 4 years, and you see the little yellow? Well, that's where that little piece of 10th Street. Not only did we not get the no parking signs down there for them, but also did not get the barricades. And those barricades came because the citizens stopped some of the workers and they went and got them. They did not come from his office or his orders or anything. I don't understand why when I called that day that Debbie said, well, everything is gone and out already around the town, Charlene, within 1 minute of me asking. And so either she lied, She was told to lie, or she was told a lie. And I don't want to think about the first two for Debbie. I don't know what happened, but I find it strange that the workers were able to go get them. And that was not by me. That's the neighbors that stopped them. And then I finally caught them, and they said, yes, we're on our way down there before this happened. Now, that's on file. That was supposed to be there. Tim, okay? Yeah. And you going down there being his little gopher, his little snake or whatever, and you want to try to fix this or cover it up? No, that's not going to work with me. You ought to know better. You ought to have the 411. And I've been helping those people for years that go to work, and I've been retired since I was 32 and a half years old. I was retired when I moved in that house, okay? And so they can have a nice night. It's wrong. There it is. So this fat paycheck, Stoney Brunson, I'm going to say his name. They can't even get this right. There's the paper right there. They had nothing, zero. And then here's what happened. So for y'all to understand, so I can tell you like third graders maybe, you see all of these other dots that are around here? Okay, Darren got that done too, because when the parade lets out or the light up lets out, we are totally landlocked in our houses. All the way from 10th to 50, all the way from 10th to that piece to Montrose, Montrose all the way down to 12th Street and DeSoto. Now, because all of those get them, you ought to see it. I call it the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. They just flow out. But do you think anybody with all their fat paychecks in this city could ever figure this out? And you see this here? Darren Gray had me come up here to City Hall, up to the 3rd floor, told me to go in that office or whatever it is near his, said, start drawing. Here's a ruler, Charlene, and tell me what all you need. And then when I showed up, before I even got to this man, he's going, whoa, 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 like a dog. I mean, I'm serious. That's what he did. I had the workers that could tell you that. We had Kurt that was there and Debbie. There's no call for what you did. And I'm glad to see that, by the way, we have the metal detectors out here, because as I told you, maybe somebody listened in here. He's going to piss off the wrong person, and they're going to come in here and take us out. But there's the proof right there, folks. Enough is enough. Get it right.
Now, in this next clip I'm going to show you, Murray goes into his reports. As you were aware, each individual city council member has their own reports that they do. And in his reports, he divulges an email that he received from a citizen, Anthony Grove, requesting an investigation into this verbal altercation with Miss Charlene Forth, and he demands an investigation. So he has the email on his hands, copies of them, and he hands them to each individual council member. Because of sunshine law, he couldn't share it. So he wanted to drive that point home, and I'll get to that in a minute, while he was probably trying to do that. When I know, and they all had already seen this email. They're not fooling us with their sunshine law bullshit. Anyway, so he says the citizen Anthony Grove would like an investigation. Here's the email. And then, of course, he starts talking about reasons why he doesn't feel like it needs an investigation. And then Michelle interjects, and it gets pretty shitty up there. And then you can hear Miss Charlene Forth in the peanut gallery kind of calling out to them. And it just gets really kind of ugly, specifically with Michelle, just a real bitch. And we'll just take a look.
All righty. All right. I received the email from Mr. Grove, one of the residents, Mr. Grove, and due to the sunshine law, as Ms. Myers so elegantly stated earlier, I could not share this with you. I did not call you and talk to you all about it, but if you want to, I'll share the email with you. Sure. Here you go. And it's in reference to Miss Forth's comment last council meeting. She came up and she talked about the same first part of what she talked about tonight. But he was asking for an independent investigation of the situation. I replied back to him that I could not do an independent investigation. I do not have the authority to order independent investigation. That's a council decision. Okay. And the earliest I can talk to any of you would be at tonight's council, so that's what I'm doing tonight. I don't know if you got a chance to read the email. You can take it and read it and come back next time. But right now, my thoughts on it is, I don't think we need to waste time on an independent investigation. Whether Ms. Forth like it or not, and even in Mr. Grove email, I think he mentioned the fact that I did go down there. I went down and I took it upon myself to go down, as I usually do when I have a problem or something come up. I try to go out and talk to residents and the people myself. And it's not trying to be a hitman or do somebody dirty work, Ms. Forth, regardless of what you may think. That's just what I do, okay? Right after the incident happened on light up night, I think it was, in December, that Friday night. So I think that's Tuesday, I got an opportunity to go down, and I actually spoke to 4 of the residents down there. And according to them, nobody really have anything harsh to say, anything. And even in Ms. Forth's presentation at the council last week, back in December, when I tried to say to her that I spoke to him, she said nobody would talk, nobody saw anything, wasn't nobody out there to see anything. So why would I do an investigation if there's no one there for me to talk to? If they didn't see anything, I'm not going to waste time to try to do an investigation if nobody have seen anything. But I do know some staff were with Mr. Botice that evening, and regardless of what they may say, you may not accept what they got to say anyway, even from an independent investigator. So that's where I stand with it. Some of the comments and what I got from the residents, the 4 residents I talked to, basically they say nothing really happened. They were satisfied with it. And Ms. Forth somewhat led us to believe, to me, she led me to believe that she was talking about the incident that happened and everything. But what she presented us in council last time was pretty much a letter that she went back and got from the neighbors saying, hey, they still want the barricades down there, as she stated tonight, which was part of the...
You have the wrong facts. It happened in front of one of the neighbors.
Miss Forth, please, okay? Please, okay? Well, if that happened in front of that neighbor did not, I did not speak to him. To the 4 I spoke to him, say they didn't see nothing. And you personally told me, stated here twice, 2-3 times, as a matter of fact, that nobody saw anything because they were all in the house.
No, I did not say that, so stop
okay.
saying a lie. Tim?
But anyway.
I said it happened in front of one neighbor. Go back and look at the video. Go look at the stats.
Anyway, if you all want to take a look at the email and get back at the next council meeting, let me know where you stand and what you think and everything, that's fine. But as you say, due to Sunshine Law, I couldn't talk to you or discuss this with you and everything. And I went and did and talked to the neighbors, 2 or 3, 4 or 6 neighbors myself. And I was pretty satisfied with what went on. And the biggest issue there was the fact that the barricades wasn't put up like they should have been. But it was my understanding the barricade was put up. They just wasn't up at the time Ms. Forth went down there and requested them, which before she even left the barricade, the people that were scheduled to put the barricades up came in to put the barricades up before. And Mr. Botice was already down there because as soon as he got the call, he happened to be walking the streets at that time, checking things out, and he got the call, and he went right on down and looked at everything. And he tried to talk to the neighbors about it and get some consensus of did he want just parking sign, no parking sign, or barricades put up, is what I understand. And they decided they wanted the barricade, so no problem. We'll continue to do the barricade as it was presented, So I don't think it's nothing wrong with Mr. Botice going down and talking to the neighbors to try to get a new field.
You don't think when he screamed at me was a problem? That's what we're here for.
Ms. Forth, please, okay?
I'm not going to sit here and let you lie.
Well, then you need to keep quiet, please, okay?
No, I'm not.
Excuse me, I would like to interject here. I got some information that no, the barricades had not been put up yet, that the person who was in charge of Light Up Clermont, which, by the way, is the largest city event that Clermont has, when our city officials heard that the barricades weren't up yet. They got with Public Works Department. And there were 3 city officials that decided they walk the event before it starts to make sure everything's in order, everything's in line. This is what they do. It's part of their jobs. Actually, it's above and beyond their actual jobs. But they walk around and make sure that the vendors that are here and that barricades are up, no parking signs are up, that sort of thing. And they were walking around. They said, let's walk down to 10th Street and see what's going on with the barricades. They walked down there. As they got there, Public Works was coming up. Our deputy chief went down there, and as he arrived, the barricades were being put up. Our city officials are doing their jobs. To have a citizen get involved at that point when barricades are being put up is, it's inappropriate. Our city officials are doing their jobs. And if barricades get up late, this is the largest event this city has. And we'd like to think everything's perfect and everything works like clockwork, but it doesn't always. And as soon as the people that are in charge of this event find out, they get the ball rolling, they take care of the situation, which is what they did. That's it. I prefer not to hear any more about it. Our city officials are doing their jobs, and as they're doing their jobs, they should not be interrupted, period. That's my opinion, and
It's a lie.
I'm not lying. I got information. Facts are facts.
No, you weren't there.
You're right. We wasn't there, and that's what the independent investigation would do, is just tell the facts of whoever we talked to, and the people I talked to that I know was there and everything. Pretty much tell me the same story that Miss Pine just said and everything. So, but are you going to accept them because they're part of the staff? So why are we going to be anything? And as you said, no one else would actually. Your statement was the fact that everybody was inside. Nobody saw anything. So, but far as I'm concerned, that's where I'm at with it. Independent investigation, that's up to you all. If you all want to come back at the next council and reopen it and everything, but that's where I stand.
I would like to interject. I received some information. Facts are facts. No, Michelle, secondhand knowledge is not facts. I don't know what school she went to. Drunks R Us, grapefruit vodka is the best. College. I don't know, but facts are not facts when it comes from secondhand knowledge. And she was not there. And of course, you could hear Miss Charlene Forth in the peanut gallery stating you weren't even there, Michelle. You don't know. But after all of these comments, you can blatantly see that they're not going to do an investigation because Murray took it upon himself to go down there and speak to neighbors who said they're fine, nothing happened. And it's like, the stupidity of all now 4 of them collectively is mind-blowingly, I can't even, their IQ between the 4 of them must be 2. I don't know, idiots. He literally even called himself out and said, "Oh yeah, I was not there, but I talked to the neighbors, and the neighbors were fine. They didn't see nothing, and yes, they were in their home." What the heck? Why are you interviewing, questioning neighbors that you know damn well were inside the house that day and didn't hear or see shit? People have their TVs on, headsets on, maybe they're gaming. I don't know. But he literally says that they didn't see it because they were in the house. And then, of course, Michelle interjects, and I don't know where the hell she got her information from, made up or whatever. But again, these clowns get the last word, right? These people can't come back up and rebut. I've spoken about this real recently. You get your 3 minutes and you're done. You can't rebut. So they're the last people to speak, and they do everything to discredit the citizen. And because people that aren't any wiser about it, they're none the wiser. They just think, oh, well, these are the elected officials. So certainly they know what they're talking about and they're being truthful. And whoever that lady was that went up there, well, apparently she's lying or she's dumb, right? Because again, they get the last word. This specifically, and this really bothers me, and I've said this for quite some time, it is almost, no, it's not even almost as if, it is the city council asshats against us. It's them against us. And they don't understand that, no, we vote for them, and they are supposed to represent us and listen to us. We pay their salary. As low as it is, we pay their salary. We are the taxpayers. We are the constituents. We are the ones that put them in those chairs to have their control. I mean, and all they do is sit up there and they're so arrogant. And it's going to get worse. Wait for it. But I'm tired of it's them against us, because that's exactly how they act. Them against us. And I really think it's disgusting, and I can't really take it anymore. Next, there was Chandra's reports. Again, each council member says they have reports, and they talk about what they've done in the last couple of weeks since the last meeting, or they can just, really talk about anything that they want to. It's basically their public comment period. So Chandra makes this interesting statement, a little spiel. Again, I'm not a big fan of Chandra personally. That doesn't mean that when she does something good up there, I'm not going to give her props or say, hey, that was a good job. That's not beneath me to do that. I've done that even, unfortunately, to Murray when he does something good, which is few and far between. But I don't quite trust her yet, just because I don't. She has been doing some really good things up there lately. But what she said during her reports was good, but yet towards the end kind of petered off, and it didn't wow me as much as I think it wowed some people that I've spoken to regarding her statements. But she started off, and it was very cryptic, in my opinion. She cryptically states that they are violating the Florida Sunshine Law up there. In my opinion, I feel like this was cryptic, like a cryptic message that she was trying to put out. She starts to talk about the Sunshine Law and how Brian, which is the city manager, should not be a conduit for the council members. Like she said, he should not be speaking to the council members about other council members' thoughts or opinions. And she said, just like Michelle over here shouldn't call me or contact me to let me know, stuff either. Like, they can't speak to each other, can't email, they can't call, and that Brian Boltice certainly cannot be a conduit for them. And now remember, prior to a council meeting, because council meetings are on Tuesdays, every second and fourth Tuesdays, so either Monday afternoon or Tuesday morning of that meeting day, Brian will make a call to each individual council member. Just depends on their schedule. Like I said, it could be Monday afternoon, it could be Monday morning, the day before, or it could be Tuesday morning prior to the council meeting itself. And what he does is he discusses the agenda with them, asks them if they have any questions, they want to discuss anything. And so she was kind of cryptically saying, almost as if when he calls each individual council member, he's kind of letting them know what Michelle may have said about a particular agenda item, or what stupid Gonzo may have said, or Murray, right? So I think it was a cryptic message. I think she was telling on them without telling on them, if that makes sense. And then she gets into respect, like how the council should respect. But first, I'm going to show you the clip about her cryptically stating these issues with Sunshine Law. Take a look.
And I want to share a little background before I speak, for the audience to have understanding of what I'm going to say. Our sunshine laws require that we discuss everything in the sun, so to speak, in front of all of the citizens. So, for example, I can't call Michelle and say, hey, I have this great idea for city council. What do you think? We can't discuss city business. We can't do any of that because of the sunshine laws. I can't ask Brian to act as a conduit to say to the mayor, hey, tell him I want this, and he can say that. He can't do that because of the sunshine laws, and he also is not able to poll any of us. Correct, Dan? I'm correct on that, right? Okay. So I just want the public to understand that. So that is why I'm going to share some of the things I'm going to, because we cannot have conversations about City Council without you all being present. With this being a new year, I would like to ask my fellow council members, and I'll give them time because, again, they're not aware of this because we're not allowed to talk to one another. Since it's a new year, I have a question of what is the vision for our city? What are the things that they hope to accomplish? What are the things that our citizens would like to see in the upcoming year for the city?
I mean, did you feel like that's what she was doing? I don't know. I feel like that's what she was doing. She was cryptically saying this shit's going on and I want to let the people know without letting the people know. And then, like I started to say prior to this clip, she gets into this issue with respect. Now, she had me at first, and I was like, this is pretty good. She's talking about the council members themselves showing the citizens respect and that they are leaders and therefore should be setting the tone for the decorum in the council chambers. Even though, they might not like the person or like what they're saying, they should still be respectful to the citizens. And then Murray, of course, pipes up and goes, well, does that go both ways, Ms. Mize? And she's like, yes, it certainly does, and then he goes, but I mean, for the citizens. And she goes, oh, well, of course, yeah, that we both should have decorum. We both should be respectful of each other. And so that's when I I was like, oh, she almost wowed me. And then it was like, like Barnyard's, limp lever towards the end. I was like, oh, she almost had it, and then it went limp. Because what I feel like she should have said was she should have been like, they can talk basically shit to us, but we still have to maintain our composure and our decorum. Because as citizens, they have the right to air their grievances about their local government, federal, whatever, in any kind of public forum. So she almost had me until she until she jumped in and said, no, both sides need to be like that, right? So go ahead and take a look here at this next clip where she talks about this respect thing.
The other thing that I want to discuss is behavior. We as leaders must be respectful to each other when we speak to our citizens, our colleagues, and the city employees at all times. As a servant leader of the City of Clermont, we are not to talk to other people in a derogatory tone, no matter how much we dislike them or disagree with what they're saying or their actions. We cannot belittle or bully or any of those things to people. We must be respectful. And as a leader, I feel like we have to set the standard at all times, no matter who we are speaking to or with. We must have decorum at all times. I want to share with you an incident that our city manager shared with me where he raised his voice to one of our citizens. I asked him to apologize. I followed up 2 weeks later, and he hadn't apologized yet. I asked him would he put it in written form. He said he would not respectfully, but he would sit down with the citizen, myself and him, at a neutral place to apologize. I reached out to the citizen, and the citizen declined. So I want to say going forward, we all have to make sure that we speak to each other with decorum and respect at all times, regardless if we like the people, agree with the people or not. And again, I had to share this in this form because I cannot pick up the phone and talk to any of my fellow members about this. So I thank you for your time. That concludes my report.
Okay, before I ask Ms. Pines if you have any report and everything, Ms. Myers, in that statement you just made, do that work both ways?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean for the citizens.
Well, Well, you know, we're leaders. Citizens are not.
We are leaders.
And I do think that citizens should speak to us with respect. I do, but that doesn't always happen. But as a leader, we have to set the tone because we are leaders. We have been voted in as leaders, so we have to act like leaders. And with your service in the military, I know you're aware of that. We lead. We may not always like how people respond or act toward us, but we always have to set the example in the tone.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you, and that's why I read this one statement I read, which I get a lot of flack on that statement, and it's all about respect, not just for me. And of course, as I've always said in the past, I can care less what you call me or what you say to me, but it's about respecting everybody else out there as well, okay? But I just want to verify that because I get feedback and throwback in me because of the statement I read about respecting everyone. I read that every council meeting.
Right.
And some of our residents don't think it's trying to hamper their rights or free speech, but it's not. It's asking for respect for everybody. Okay.
Right, because if we don't have respect, then you go up to higher levels and it escalates to physical, and we don't want that. So we always have to use respect, and that should be mutually. It should not just be on one side, but particularly as leaders, regardless, we always have to, because leaders lead by example.
Okay, in this last clip, I'm going to be showing you Anthony Grove, the citizen that actually brought up the idea of, hey, let's do an investigation into the verbal assault of Miss Charlene Forth, is also back on into the conversation here because he filed a citizen's request to actually be placed on the agenda. And as you are aware, you're allowed to do that. Initially, this was started by Murray during his first term. Instead, in lieu of extending the period of time for public comments from like maybe 3 to 5 minutes, he came up with this brilliant idea that if you have something that you would like to say that would take longer than 3 minutes, well, then we would entertain putting you on an actual on the agenda to discuss whatever it is that you want. But here's the caveat to that. Is they have to accept your agenda request. So here you are thinking, okay, he's doing us a favor. If I have something I want to say, I get to go on the agenda. I just got to fill out some paperwork. No, the city manager has to approve it and deem it necessary and appropriate to be brought to the city council. So you're still being controlled by the disrespectful, narcissistic, egotistical maniac, Brian Boltice in this matter. So I was really kind of taken back that he accepted Anthony Grove's request for this specific citizen's agenda item, which basically Anthony wanted to extend the extend the public comments from 3 minutes to 5 minutes. Now, this was specifically public comments in the beginning of the council meeting, not for, at least that's how I took it. And he didn't specify specifically, but I'm gathering this is what he meant, was the public comments portion in the beginning of the meeting, and not on an actual agenda item when we go up there and we agree with it or we oppose it. It was 3 to 5 minutes in the beginning of the council meeting where you just go up and do random public comments. So he goes up there and he presents his agenda item. Take a look.
Tonight I will ask our City Council to consider adding time to each of the speakers during the public comments. At the core of our society is the Constitution. The first 10 amendments of the Constitution are known as the Bill of Rights. The very first amendment is the right of free expression and the right to speak out against government without fear of retaliation. We often refer to this very first amendment to be free speech. Most scholars believe that the right of free expression, being the very first of the 10 amendments, is not a coincidence. The right of free expression and free speech is the ensemble of our way of life. The opportunity and privilege to voice our positions to those in a government role, whether elected, appointed, or employed, is one that is cherished. Our human history is stained with regimes both past and present, which silence those who dare utter a word of criticism or change to those regimes. Human history is stained with the death of people who made their opposition against government known. For those who cherish, they never enjoyed the freedoms that we have in this great nation. As I think about all the lives lost, it makes me sad. Tonight, I will ask City Council to make a change to the current resolution. Before considering the request, let's hear what others have said about our First Amendment. Consider the words of Frederick Douglass, activist and author. No right was deemed by the fathers of the government more sacred than the right of speech. It was in their eyes, as in the eyes of all thoughtful men, the great moral renovator of society and government. Consider the words of Anthony Kennedy, the U.S. Supreme Court. The First Amendment is often inconvenient, but that's beside the point. Inconvenience does not absolve the government of its obligation to tolerate speech. Consider the words of Winston Churchill, British politician. Everyone is in favor of free speech. Hardly a day passes without it being extolled. But some people's idea of it is that they are free to say what they like, but if anyone says anything back, that's an outrage. And now consider the words of the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. But somewhere I read of the freedom of assembly. Somewhere I read of the freedom of speech. Somewhere I read of the freedom of the press. Somewhere I read that the greatness of America is the right to protest for right. Any limitation of the First Amendment compromises our ability to express our views, beliefs, and criticisms of government. While consideration must be made to time, the current 3 minutes is inadequate for those who wish to express their messages. Often the dialogue at the meetings would be better understood and heard by the public if the time was less compressed. In my own experience, I must rehearse my presentation several times to come in under 3 minutes. I am forced to leave some of the key points behind in order to stay within the 3-minute limit. I've also witnessed those that go over time struggle to close their message after the 3-minute signal is heard. Adding 2 minutes to the current time allotted to the people during public comments will enhance the ability to express ideas and will not substantially add to the total time allotted to public comments. Even if 10 people were to be heard, you would entertain a total of 50 minutes compared to 30 minutes with the current resolution. It is my request that this City Council amend the resolution to extend the time for each speaker to be permitted 5 minutes to address the Council. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay, and then this next clip, you're going to see Michelle jump in and talk about the agenda item too. Take a look.
Can I speak? Okay.
Yeah.
For years before I got on council, I stood at that very podium, whatever you want to call it, and had 3 minutes many times. The most important thing I had to say was at the end, and I got cut off, and I didn't get to share. And I'd say, but I didn't get to finish, you know, and it's the way it was. I was told, well, we were all told, when you have these important things you want to share that you want addressed, or at least just listened to, if you have, you know, more time, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever, give part of what you have to say to somebody else, let them come up and they can finish to make the point. I know 3 minutes is difficult, but this is something, there's different ways to go about it. When I didn't get to finish my points or I felt like it was extremely important, I would schedule a meeting with somebody with staff or with the mayor and at least talk about it, have civil discourse, you know, discuss it, agree or disagree, or have them explain to me how municipal government works and why it didn't work why what I was thinking should happen or shouldn't happen didn't work because, and you know, even talking about the budget, there are so many regulations and things that can and cannot be done, but I would set up a meeting to finish out that thought and have and at least have a better understanding or at least them have a better understanding. So I can certainly appreciate the frustration of being a citizen and getting up here and not having that time to complete it. With that being said, we have a survey of the cities in Florida and the amount of times that they give their citizens in their council meetings, how much time they have. And do we have that we can put up to? It's varied. I think the majority of cities, from when I reviewed it, it's 3 minutes. A handful gave 4 minutes. A handful gave 5 minutes. But the majority of cities, it looks to be was 3 minutes. I didn't count it out or do a percentage or anything.
Okay, I need to call this out because I just do. I can't take her bullshit. First of all, for years I stood at that podium or whatever you call it. I was cut off and I'm not done yet. Bitch. Okay, and everybody else that has been in Clermont will understand this. And they're like, yeah, we know, Danny. First of all, Michelle was not a regular at that podium for years. Okay. She only went up there during the boat ramp debacle. And if you've lived here long enough, you'll remember the boat ramp debacle when they wanted to move it. And it got really convoluted and crazy and hostile in that council room for several meetings. During this whole boat ramp thing, and there was actually a lawsuit involved and everything, and she went up to the podium about a couple times. That was it. So for her to sit up there all arrogant and brazen and just thinking with her little blowout that night on Tuesday that for years I was at the podium or whatever you want to call it. She's starting to sound like Gonzo. The whatchamacallit, I mean, these people are idiots. But no, that's a lie, Michelle. You were only up there at that whatchamacallit, whatever you call it, a few times during the boat ramp debacle. Don't make it sound like you lived at that podium because you were very reserved and very kind of shy, and you weren't one to be up at the podium. So let's cut the shit and let's cut the lies. So then we're going to have, in this next clip, we're going to show Anthony going back up to address Miss Liar Pants on Fire.
So I guess this is still my agenda item.
Yes.
With all due respect, Councilwoman Myers, I'm not talking about. Pines. With all due respect, I'm not inhibited at all to set up a private meeting with anyone. That's not the point of the discussion. The point of the discussion is to allow people who want to come to the microphone to not come up here and be so compressed and worried about finishing. Give them a little more time to speak. We're not talking about setting up private meetings. That's not relevant. I was at a meeting last night, and actually in Mineola, they don't restrict the time. The mayor there says, whatever time you need, I'll hear you out. I thought that was epically visionary to do that. They have no problem. So rather than look for ways to not do it, let's look for ways to do it.
Okay, next up, you're going to see Murray actually kind of getting into it with Mr. Grove. He kind of gets a little sassy, a little rude, a little arrogant, the huge, and they kind of have a little back and forth. Check it out.
You done?
I'm finished.
Anyone else? Okay, here's my comment. When I first got elected, one of the biggest things that came to me is the fact that we need to make sure we keep the 3 minutes in there. Because at that time, when I first got elected back in 2020, it was quite a regular thing where people were coming up and speaking longer than 3 minutes and nobody was being shut down, okay? So one of the things I looked at, I said, hey, I'm going to keep the 3 minutes. That was recommended at that time, the 3 minutes be recommended. And I think, Ms. Forth, if I'm not mistaken, you were one of those that recommended the 3 minutes.
No, I did not. I've never done that. Never.
But anyway, we did that, and we did we went a step further. We went a step further and put in this citizen request, which is what you're speaking on tonight. However, at the same time, if you have something on you that you want to speak to the public, what we said was the fact that, hey, you can come up, and if you think you need an extra minute or so, all you have to do is ask. You know, before you start your speech and you ask for an extra minute, that's fine. But if you're going to go longer than 4 or 5 minutes, then you need to do the citizen request.
Mayor, that's not accurate. I can document that I asked the city clerk the first time I spoke that I needed more than 3 minutes, and I was told, no, you have 3 minutes. Now, I can document that, so let's not open that can of worms.
Sir,
I am asking that we continue to have a limit, but the limit go from 3 to 5. That's reasonable.
Sir, right now, if you wanted to do more, if you needed 4 minutes, which I think you did just about 4 minutes, a little over 4 minutes just now, you could ask for that, okay, before you speak. And it's up to me. I have the authority to grant that, or 2 other council members can do that. That is what's in the charter.
Mayor,
okay?
I can't come prepared with 3 different versions if I want to say, based upon whether you're going to say okay to 4 minutes, yes or no. I need to know that before I come. So if I prepare something that's 4 minutes and 45 seconds and you say no, what do I do with that? You're not thinking it through. I'm saying make it 5 minutes. I can live within that. And so can probably everyone else. If I have to come as an exception and say, well, tonight I need an extra 2 minutes, and you say no, what's the provision now? I just read until the buzzer goes off?
Let me ask you something, sir. Ms. Forth, when she came up early, she asked for extra time, right? Was it denied?
Mayor, I am not going to anticipate that. Excuse me, this is my agenda.
No, but sir, the mayor controls the meeting. You have to be respectful to him. He is in control of the meeting.
I'm telling you what's in the charter. If you come up, and it's been used several times, they've come up and they've asked for extra time and it's been granted. 9 times out of 10, we're going to grant it. As long as it's not going to be more than 4.5 less than, it's going to be most less than 5 minutes, it's going to be granted. Now,
Then I would argue
if it's 5-10 minute speech, no.
Then I would argue if 9 times out of 10 it's going to be granted, you should just approve it to be 5 minutes. No. That's what you just told me.
Sir, under that circumstances, when you come in here, yes. It's not going to be a general rule 5 minutes, no. It's going to stay, as far as I'm concerned, unless the council decide to change it, it's going to stay 3 minutes. That's where I stand. However, the council has the right to take a vote and make a motion and change the charter. But right now,
Change the resolution. It's not in the charter.
Don't mind me. I'm sorry. The resolution and everything, but right now I'm totally against it. And you're right. I looked at the survey they took, and mostly every city around here uses 3 minutes. Okay, it seemed to be the standards for public
That
comment.
wasn't the purpose
and
of
here,
my...
And I'm gonna say this, and I heard what you just said to Miss Pines as well. First time I came to this council and stood there at that podium and made a speech, I was cut off too. Well, you know what I did? I went home and I said, well, I got to go back to my teaching from the Air Force, the ABCs, accuracy, brevity, and clarity. In other words, say what I got to say and sit down. And I have never stood there. I've come in here several times and spoken at the council. I've never went over 3 minutes because I came in and stated what I had to state and all this. I did not put a whole lot of fluff in there. Okay.
And I've never been over 3 minutes either, and I had to leave a lot of good thoughts behind.
Okay.
Thank you.
But yes, I was cut off my first couple of times too until I learned how to abbreviate.
Okay, and then even though it wasn't an agenda item to be voted on, which generally if there's something on the agenda to be voted on, you do allow public comments. Well, in this particular instance, it's not being voted on this evening. It was just a presentation from a citizen, which was Anthony Grove. So they weren't voting on it. So they didn't have to allow public comments. So the city attorney left it up to Murray to decide whether he would open it up to public comments. And then you hear Miss Charlene Forth in the peanut gallery calling out, well, it's on the agenda, we should be able to speak. So he left it up to him. And so Murray, he did. He allowed public comment. So first up was Miss Charlene Forth. Check it out.
Yeah, let's correct the record. First of all, Tim, I've known you a long time.
Keep it to this item, ma'am.
It is
please.
this time. You said that I said 3 minutes. I have never in my 25 years here, and I'll tell you what, the real nice, best mayor we ever had was Hal Turville. Just had this talk with him 2 weeks ago. He said people will never go past that. Let them speak. He said, I've never had it happen in all the 8 years that he sat here. Never. And I'm going to correct you because I was in the middle of the Winn-Dixie parking lot the night that you won with the chief, and I said to you, as God is my witness. See, I respond to him too. That's why I'm pissed off about lying here. Michelle, who doesn't even know what she's talking about. She knows nothing about what happened. Okay, I said to you, Tim, take that 3 minutes off and take that clock off the wall. You said, yeah, you know what? I think I'll do that. That's what you said to me in the parking lot with your supporters down there the night you won. And I was out there pounding the pavement for you. And then you sit here arrogant as hell to that man that's up here. I mean, look at the arrogancy of you. Go back when you get home and go look at Southlake TV and look how arrogant you look. You're not the person I knew 25 years ago. No, you're not. You know how I loved you and respected you. And now you're acting like this up here. That's why. And by the way, Michelle, you don't want to hear it? I'll be back here in 2 weeks and I'm going to finish it up because I couldn't finish it up here at 3 minutes to tell what really happened down there. But Hal Turville said, if you shut your mouth and listen to the people, he's never seen them go 7 minutes, 8 minutes, 10 minutes. He said, let the people go. And I look at Michelle too sometimes and I get mad because of you saying it twice in here that this is a business meeting. No, this is a business meeting, honey, of the residents and the taxpayers. And it's arrogant of you to even say that too. And I knew you too. But you've got arrogance since you sat up here. You guys need to be removed.
We were not friends prior to me getting on council.
We were friends as in doing stuff for the city. Down at the boat ramp, down at Lake Hiawatha. I know and have known your boyfriend forever. Okay, in town. Now, into that conversation, what I'm saying is there is no reason that this couldn't be done. The man had whatever, you're being arrogant to him trying to tell you. But listen, we've already heard this before. Never have I. Look up there. Oh, yay, I love Fort Pierce, my stomping grounds with my family, and Stewart, and Port St. Lucie. Look at Mineola. Nobody. But this is a place that people can't get their thoughts out. They can't say what they want to say. But I'm glad that this happened tonight because it's on film. We've got your words. Arrogant. Maybe people will take y'all out. Shameful.
I find it very disheartening when a council member acts like this. And we've seen this repeatedly. I mean, you can go back any given day of the week, any given meeting, and you can see the arrogance. And she did. She called him out and said, watch yourself on Southlake TV and you can see the arrogance in y'all, right? Like, I am getting so sick and tired. Like, when are y'all going to start voting the right people in? Murray is an asshole. Michelle is an asshole. Gonzo is an asshole. And then all three of them put together are just tremendously stupid. Okay? Enough is enough. Come November, you guys, please vote the right people in, please. I mean, I don't think the city can take more of this. Again, it's them against us, and that's not how local government should be. It's not them against us, but it is, and they're arrogant. Michelle was so inappropriate at telling Miss Charlene, we were not ever friends. It's like, Michelle, nobody is friends with you. Nobody. I was never friends with you before. I'm pretty sure Charlene didn't want to be friends with you, nor anybody else for that matter. And then all Miss Charlene Forth said was, that she did know Michelle's boyfriend, that she knew, and you heard it. I knew your boyfriend. And then she's like, point of order. Why are you calling for a point of order, Michelle? Because she said she knew your boyfriend? What part of that statement is inaccurate? Greg Ammon is your boyfriend. Charlene knows your boyfriend. So what part of Miss Charlene's statement required a point of order? Are you embarrassed that he's your boyfriend and you had to call a point of order? I mean, she's getting out of hand. And her white mug was present again. moving on. So the next person that comes up, and I'm not doing this in order, but another person that comes up, actually it is after Miss Charlene. I take that back. This person came up. Well, I'm going to let you see who it was. Has to do with a basketball.
My name is Cassia Kyler Murray. I live at 574 East DeSoto Street. Mayor Murray is my husband. I was also there the night he won the election. There was no discussion about anything that takes place in this room. The only thing that was discussed was, congratulations, I am so happy for you, and that was it. And then we left. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, please, Miss Cassie, don't worry about it.
As I said,
Cassie,
Mayor,
please, let's shut it down.
I know.
Mayor, you stay
Reset
on
it.
one issue, Mayor.
Respect is respect.
Listen.
Okay? Respect is respect. There was no other discussion other than congratulations, and that was it.
All right, let's stick to this item
Thank
of
you.
extension. Yes, sir.
So now we've got the mayor's basketball head wife up there going up against citizens and basically calling them liars. Really? She had no right going up there. Murray should have shut her down. He tried to shut her down toward the end because Manzares kind of stepped up to the plate and said this needs to be about the agenda item. And so that's when Murray kind of was like, and you could see him, because he knew his basketball head wife was up there in the wrong, and she shouldn't have been up there. First of all, she shouldn't have been up there defending him. That's inappropriate. Sit your ass down, basketball head. And you certainly shouldn't, as the mayor's wife, be putting down a citizen and calling them essentially a liar. And then you could hear Miss Charlene Forth in the peanut gallery call out to her, you weren't even near him when I spoke to him. But this woman is a liar. Murray is a liar, and Michelle is a liar. I've proven it over and over again that Michelle and Murray are liars. But let me say why his basketball head wife is a liar. And I'll show you just for fun, because this little girl's over 18 now. So just for fun, I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna put the picture up here on the screen here in just a moment. But this is the same basketball head woman and the same Murray mayor that tried to say that their daughter didn't flip me off during a council meeting and call me a bitch. Yes, I got her on film. And I took a screen grab, a still shot from that film for your viewing pleasure. Take a look. Y'all probably remember that because I put that up years ago when it happened. What was it, like 3 years ago? Yeah. And why do I say they're liars because of that? Because I went up and I confronted basketball head and told her I was still waiting for an apology from her daughter about her flipping me off like that. And you know what she did? She wholeheartedly denied it. She said she didn't do that. That didn't happen. And then at the very end of this very short conversation, she says, I'm going to pray for you. I'm going to pray for you. Are you psycho and a liar? Kind of heard she was a little cuckoo. But, yeah, are you're going to sit here and tell me it didn't happen when I have literally a fucking screen grab from it happening? She literally lied and said that, and ironically, moving forward, by the way, they never brought their little daughter little teenage daughter, to any more meetings after that. That was one of the last ones she appeared at and has not been back since. And then, of course, Murray lied to a citizen and I'm sorry, I take that back. He didn't lie to the citizen, and he told the citizen, yes, that happened. So, but he lied to me because I went up during public comments, I think the week after that, or the meeting after that, and demanded an apology from him on behalf of his daughter. And he denied it happening, but he admitted it to a certain citizen, the same citizen that currently dislikes him. But I was told by that citizen a couple years back that yes, in fact, he admitted that yes, it did happen. But him and his wife both lied publicly. Well, she lied to me. We were in public, and then Marie lied publicly to everybody that didn't happen. So as you can see, these people are liars. These people are liars. How about we go ahead and do this investigation and actually talk to the fucking neighbor that was in her own driveway and saw it happen? How about we interview Kurt and Debbie? The same Kurt and Debbie, P.S., by the way, that I have emailed previously, probably maybe a month ago, right after it happened. I emailed both of them and told them that they need to step up and they need to do the right thing, and state what happened. Of course, they never responded to my email, but it's there, and I can post that too if y'all want receipts. I did. I emailed them. I said, you need to do the right thing. You know what Boltice did. You were there. You need to step up and you need to do the right thing. Obviously, they never did it because they never told Murray. They never told Michelle. Facts are facts. And with that, I will have a sip of Ghost. These people, these are the people that run your city, folks. These are the people that run your city. Are you disgusted yet? Are you done? Are you ready to vote some new people in? Well, so that's basically what happened at the city council meeting on Tuesday. That was actually worth speaking about anyway. I did want to do a little teaser. As you are aware, the next the special election that's being held to take over Purvis's seat, that election is going to be held in May, and Tracy is going to open it up to pick up your packages to run in March. However, there was a little somebody who's already picked up a packet. You can't get shit by me, people. Already picked up a packet. So ironically, on Tuesday, this past council meeting, they had to make a big deal about how you could pick up a packet in March. The special election was going to be in May, and but you could pick up a packet early though if you wanted to. You just got to fill out a form. I think it would say DS 90 or something like that, which is it's just a campaign treasury form. That's all it is. Everybody always fills out one when you pick up a packet anyway, but they wanted to make sure that, oh, well, yes, you can pick up one early if you fill out this form. They're saying that because they know that I know, and a few other people know, that a certain somebody already picked up a packet. And if you've been watching my page lately, and you kind of, because I like to be cryptic too. It's super fun. I like to keep them on their toes. So if you've been on my page as late as today, you will notice a little something. So, but stay tuned because there's a lot of stuff that's going to come out about that somebody. So, maybe they won't run. I don't know. Hashtag like the FBI. And with that being said, folks, you have a great evening. And until next time, take care. Bye-bye now.